the upbringing of the children on the Deen, especially in non-Muslim communities.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they think that, they're going to learn the Deen just from the air, just like that, without investing in the children learning the Deen and sending them to schools and making sure it's madrasa, masjid, where we're going to go, there is a Deeni environment around. Maybe you can touch first on this point and the importance of this.
Barakallah feek. And I believe that even as a teacher, one of the first things I noticed in a lot of parents, including myself, I'm a parent, we put too much emphasis on other people outside to guide our children. The Muslim schools, for example, put too much responsibility on the Muslim schools that we put our children in. As a teacher, I used to have parents who say, what is your school doing? What is your teaching doing for our children? We put them here for this or that and we pay you money. And many studies show, and through my experience, that at least 60% of the upbringing of the child is in the home.
True.
It's not in the school.
True.
The school has policies and rules and their discipline and all that stuff, but we have no control over the child's mind and how they think and their beliefs and their behavior. We have rules. And the child learns best with role modeling, with being validated, with being acknowledged, with somebody who can listen to their inner thoughts and their needs and their pain, someone who can share with them their personal interests and not shun them and say, what are you, for example, saying words such as derogative words as, what are you wasting your time on this or on that? We should not say these things to our children. Rather, if we want to teach them, go into their interests and through their interests, teach them. For example, if my child likes to play games, okay, how do I monitor this and how do I make them limit their time on games if that is my problem, let's say video games. Let me play with them. Let me play with them 3 or 4 times a week. Let's make a time where my child and I actually play the game together. We make a time for it. And we sit together and play. Through that, I get to talk to my child. I get to show him how I react to losing, how I react to talking to him and myself.
He'll start picking
it up. I take him fishing, for example. Or I ask them when going to school, instead of instructions and rules, let us talk about how they feel and let us talk about their interests and their inner thoughts. Sheikh, it's very important to emphasize that the child learns from the parents' actions more than their words.
True.
And that our children don't obey us all the time, but they never fail to imitate us. So if I as a parent share with my child my experiences in life, my vulnerabilities, my failures, and my success in life, I share it with my child feels a closeness to me. Because homes are one of 2 things I see. Number 1, either it's instructions, school. It goes to school, comes back home, more school. Or number 2, it's neglect. Goes to school, comes back, then they go on the devices, on the social media, on just neglect. We have to create a balance between this one and that one. And I re-emphasize once again, if you want your child to open up and trust you and talk to you, you have to be able to also allow them to express and to talk about their inner feelings, their needs, and tell them, I will not judge you. I'll give you just one quick example of some things that I've encountered. Let's say a person suddenly finds, a father or a mother suddenly finds their son or their daughter isolating themselves in the room when they're 15 or 16 years old, when they are normally outside of the room. Then we have to think, okay, why are they isolating themselves? I had a friend who did this, and I said, go and talk to your child and tell them, I will not judge you. Whatever is going on, I'm here for you. And the child opened up without being judged. And they found out that there was, I won't say the full story, but there was something that was quite serious. And they were afraid to tell their parents because they were used to their parents judging them or lecturing them or not understanding them. I said to this brother, take it easy and don't show them they're not going to judge them, and work with them and say, let's see how we can work through this together. No need to just say, this is haram and you shouldn't have done this. Okay, it's happened. Let's work with this together. Wallahi, it worked, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, I hope inshallah the message is...
The message is there. The second point, I'm also picking it from your story. You mentioned that the stories that your parents used to bring you stories or used to teach you through stories. And this is exactly similar to where I was also abroad, bringing the upbringing of my parents towards me was the same thing, where they used to bring me stories and used to teach me stories. And I still remember and recall my parents, my father used to always relate to me stories of Sahaba and how this point of التربية بالقصة.
Yeah.
The stories, and establishing maybe a small library in your house, how it is important in the upbringing of our children today.
100%, Sheikh. You know that more than half of the Quran is what?
Stories.
قصص. فقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون.
About 70% of it.
70%. It's all stories. لقد كان في قصصهم عبرة. In their stories there are lessons. The best way that I found a child learns is through stories. Storytelling, examples, and then involving them in actions. Let them do, let them fail, let them trial and error. Rasul ﷺ had Abdullah ibn Mas'ud who served him. He said, I served Rasulullah ﷺ for 7 years or 9 or 10 years. Wallahi, not one time did he say to me, why didn't you do this and why did you do that? But always smiling. So in the home, my father used to bring all these books, and a lot of them were stories. And one day I said to him, Baba, what do you think my knowledge is? I was about 11 years old. I said, how much of these, do you think half of this bookshelf? We had a big bookshelf, maybe about 200 books. And my father said, maybe see that row at the bottom there? I saw about mujalladat, like big volumes. He says, I'd say about as much as that big volume. It was about 500 pages. Now my father was meant to tell me maybe 10 pages, but he told me 500 pages, maybe something like that. I felt amazing about myself. My father is acknowledging that I am more knowledgeable than what I think, alhamdulillah. And this encouraged me to read from that book and more, alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I have at one of our schools, a primary school, and they say to me, give khutbah to the young students there. They're about grade 4, grade 5. And I say to all my friends who give khutbahs there, they say to me, what should I say to these students? What should I give in the khutbah? I say, always, no matter what you say stories. Say stories and give the lesson very quickly. And number 2, do not make it long. Children don't have the capacity, especially now with social media, maybe 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And they say the brain capacity for their attention is literally 40 seconds. Some of them said now it's about 8 seconds. So you got to keep changing around the stories and the... my children, for example, I read for them books when we go to sleep. Always reading, alhamdulillah, and sharing and talking about the story together. Let them talk. If a parent can go and read or learn, even on YouTube, the free material talking about how to tell stories, how to engage your children, wallahi, it'll be an investment and a time that is fi sabilillah, insha'Allah. And they will not fail in their upbringing. They will be successful and have a healthy relationship, insha'Allah, as part of their upbringing.